Welcome back to my channel. Today I want to talk about the wondrous creatures haunting the Orkney Islands. Let's talk about the Finnfolk. As mentioned before, the Finnfolk are creatures from the folklore of the Orkney Islands. They are known to be devious shapeshifters and sorcerers living in the ocean. And for decades, the sole mentioning of their name woke fear in the hearts of the people. For those creatures are known to leave their homes and visit the Orkney Islands just to abduct people who then vanished, never to be seen again. Like many humanoid sea creatures, they generally look like human beings. And in opposition to the legends of mermaids, they don't have fishtails. However, the name Finnfolk derives from the fact that their bodies were draped in fins, which seem to resemble clothing. So, at least from a distance, they would just look like humans. But the closer you get, the more you realize that they aren't human at all. They were said to have power over the sea and storms, and also are very skilled boatsmen. But most of all, they are amphibious creatures, capable to live on land or in the sea, and thus they traveled between the Orkney shores and their ocean homes just as they pleased. But probably the most interesting fact about them is the difference between the male and the female Finnfolk, and the reason for their habit to kidnap humans. Let's begin with the males of the Finnfolk, the Finnmen. The Finnmen were said to be athletically built, tall and thin, and with a gloomy face with sad eyes. They are believed to have magical powers, like the ability to make their ships invisible and creating an illusion of fleets of phantom boats. They are also said to be able to row their boats over the ocean in a supernatural speed. They are known to have made deals with human fishermen, helping them in exchange for goods and silver. But they were also known to be very territorial. No fisherman would go unpunished if he fished in the fishing grounds of the Finnfolk. But apart from their territorial behavior and their greed for silver, they were said to avoid human contact whenever possible. Female Finnfolk, however, the Finnwives, are described very differently. While the male offspring of Finnfolk just looked like human children, the female offspring was born with a mermaid's tail. Yeah, in fact, all Finnwives started their life as beautiful mermaids and spent their life searching for a human husband. But why a human? Why not a Finnman? Well, if the Finnwife was able to seduce or abduct a human man, she took him to the home of the Finnfolk, Finnfolkaheme, or in rare cases lived with him on land and stayed beautiful as she was forever. If, however, she didn't succeed and was forced to marry a Finnman, she was often forced by him to work on land as a spinner or a healer, and to bring home the desired silver. And if she didn't do as she was asked, she risked being horribly beaten by him. And what might even be worse, if a Finn wife marries a Finn man, she loses her magic and her beauty, and within just a few years will turn into an ugly hag. So you now probably understand why they desire to marry a human man. However, I mentioned the home of the Finnfolk a few times, but where is it? Well, the Finnfolk were said to have two homes: the magical underwater world of Finnfolkaheme, where they lived in the winter, and the island of Hildaland. Finnfolkaheme literally translates to Finnfolk's home. It's their ancestral home and the origin of the Finnfolk. It's said to be a beautiful coral underwater palace with massive crystal halls and the most gorgeous gardens of multicolored seaweed. And even though it's deep below the ocean, it is never dark in Finnfolkaheme, for the sea creatures, and maybe some of the flora too, are bioluminescent or phosphorescent and glow, lightening up the palace. All in all, it's said to be a little paradise, resembling the realms of the fairies. But next to their ancestral home, where they lived in winter, the Finnfolk are also known to have a residence in Hildaland, the Hidden Land. This island wasn't any less beautiful than Finnfolkaheme, but only Finnfolk were able to find it, for this beautiful island was invisible, surrounded by a magical fog. The only humans who have ever seen it are those who were abducted by the Finnfolk, and they never returned to tell the tale. Over time, the belief grew that this mystical island could be identical with the real existing Iron Hollow, the Holy Island in Scotland. And until this day, people fear the island. For every now and then, people vanish, never to be seen again. Strangely enough, the island is uninhabited since an epidemic in the mid-1900s, but it's still a place visited by tourists. And not everybody who went out to discover the island was seen again. Never make the mistake to think Finnfolk could be friendly or even romantic, for those who get seduced by them or even captured by them have to spend the rest of their lives as slaves. So if you ever meet a member of the Finnfolk, pray that you have something of silver to throw at them, for their greed for silver might be the only thing distracting them long enough for you to flee. And that's it about the Finnfolk of the Orkney Islands. Thank you for listening. If you like the video, please leave a thumbs up and subscribe. And if you want to know more about creatures and myths of Celtic mythology, take a look at my other videos. See you next time. Bye!